Hey, this is Tom Nash, and here's a story for you. So, as a little boy, I grew up with abundance. We had everything. Then we became poor, broke immigrants with absolutely nothing, which was a crazy shift. But here's the crazy part. My dad and my mom were so crafty and smart that we went from being broke and poor again all the way to upper middle class within probably 7 to 8 years, which is hella impressive, especially now in my 40s. I have to look at this and say, wow, how the fuck did they do that? So basically what happened is, as an 8, 9-year-old, I basically had nothing. And then throughout my teens, things progressively slowly got better. But I actually had to work for a living quite a lot. I washed cars, I did a lot of bullshit jobs, but then my dad actually bought a business. When I was about 17 years old, my dad bought the business, and it was a catering business, and I went to work there, and I was blown away. Lots of these employees, this huge business, and it was my father's, and I was like, wow, I'm impressed. But also, I had this sense of entitlement. I basically felt like I owned the joint, because it's my dad's. I get to do whatever the fuck I want. So I drank some beer. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that YouTube. I mean, root beer. I drank some root beer. And basically, I did a lot of bullshit stuff. And what ended up happening was a life lesson to me. Because very quickly, my dad called me up and basically looked at me and said, listen, take your shit, go wait in the car, you're fired. And I was shocked. I was like, this man just fired me? My father? And initially I was upset, I was angry, I was absolutely pissed off on him. I was like, how dare you not engage in nepotism? Blah, 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 blah. I was a kid. But that experience of getting fired that early really benefited me because I learned the hard way that life isn't about giving shit that you just want from people that just will give it to you. I was like, wow, this really rattled me, but it made me a hardworking person. I basically realized that I can be either extremely lazy, which I'm really good at, or extremely hardworking. There's nothing in between for me. Over the years, I actually became very successful and I hired people, I fired people, I managed big teams. So I have a perspective of what a good employee looks like. And of course, I'm not the world's Oracle or Warren Buffett or anything like that. But, in my prime, I manage a team of about 15 people in a big company. So I know what to look for in employees. So when an article like this comes out in CNBC saying 93% of employers want to see soft skills in your resume, here are 8 of the most demanded ones. I look at this article and basically I read, and I'm a little bit confused. Communication skills, customer service, scheduling, time management skills, project management, analytical thinking, ability to work independently, flexibility. All of this means nothing to me, to be honest. I look at this and I basically say, well, what the fuck does this mean? I mean, this is none of the things that an employer is actually looking in an employee as far as soft skills goes. And I don't believe in this bullshit of separating soft skills and hard skills. Let's talk about skills. Now, let me tell you from my perspective, and again, just my opinion, what I think employers are looking for in employees. So let's go back to the main screen. So look, as a guy who actually hired a lot of people throughout my career, the first thing I look at is stability. And I know these times, 2022, everybody's job hopping like crazy. But if I can find somebody who stays at least 5 and 6 years at the same place of business, that's a good sign. Now, for my latest company, I spent a decade. And that decade, I wasn't the only one. My best friend from work was there right along with me. So for the 10 years we were there, we were not that special. It had a lot of good employees, good employment, and good companies. They tend to get that from their employees. People don't leave good places of employment. And we both started very, very low. We both actually became senior managers, different story. But stability. It's the one thing we first look at. We open the resume, we open the CV. We want to see that you're not job hopping. Because if you're job hopping, it means there's a problem. You either can't get along, or you're bored, or whatever the fuck that is. We want to see somebody that stays. Now, number 2, we want team players. Nobody fucking likes a lone wolf, Russell Westbrook, in the fucking office. Nobody wants that. We want to see somebody who's able to work in the team. Meaning, they don't antagonize other motherfuckers. They know how to take criticisms. They know how to basically work in a setting where they have to compromise and basically work together. Now, we can see this from the resume, but mainly this is something you find out through conversation. You put the people in the group dynamic with another interviewer, and you basically figure out very quickly who's a lone wolf and who's a team player. Now, the third thing I think was really important to us is, can we trust this motherfucker to work independently? And this is something they did say in the article, and I'll give them credit, but I'm going to elaborate on this a little bit. You don't want to be basically supervising actively your team member every single moment of the day. You want him to be self-motivated. Basically, you want him to feel as if it's his business, he's the owner, and he's maxing out his effort to be as good as possible at this job. If they don't have that self-motivation, we don't want them, because that means you have to push them around every fucking time. Now look, in my previous job, I had a horrible mistake. I basically went out and tried to actively pursue a client. Didn't say anything to the partner I was working with. I basically went, took a meeting. I came back, I was all proud of myself. And then my partner called me up and he said, look, you're an idiot. This guy is somebody that we cannot work with for 100 different reasons. And you shouldn't have done that without talking to me first. But then he told me, look, no problem. I get it. I'd much rather have a guy like you who's like driven and wants to get things done and makes mistakes than the guy just, pushes papers and just goes to home, at 5 p.m. like, he doesn't give a shit. Now, the next thing, assertiveness. Nobody fucking likes a yes man. Like if you're just there and say, yes, boss, yes, boss, yes, boss, you have zero value. Absolutely. Nobody wants that. You don't have to be an asshole about it, but you have to be able to assert your opinion. Otherwise, you have no value for the team. Now, also, this is a thing I learned from a guy I used to work with. His name was Gary, and he was the chief compliance officer in the company I worked with. And he basically told me, look, my job is to give more answers than questions. I loved it when he said it. I loved when he said it. And that's exactly the thing. For your boss, you want to be the source of answers, not questions. So these people who come up every 5 minutes, hey, boss, what do you think I should do here? Hey, boss, what do you think I should do here? Should I do this? Should I do that? People who come more with answers have more value for the team, hands down. Not bullshit answers, real answers. Now, the other thing is skill. We want to, beyond all this bullshit, you have to know what the fuck you're doing. Skill means you have experience. Skill means you have good education with good grades. And most importantly, you know what the fuck you're doing. We're going to test you. And within 2 months, we're going to see that you're a piece of shit that don't know nothing. And it's going to waste both of our time. So be upfront about your skills, the good and the bad. Number 5 or 6, I kept track, I lost it already, is basically we're going to call your previous boss. And we're going to find out if they like you or not. If your former bosses, and we're going to call a few of them, are going to all say you're an asshole, we're never going to hire you. So if you're leaving a place of employment, make sure you leave in good terms, because all your future employers will call and will find out what the fuck you did in the previous work. Most importantly, last soft skill, passion. You have to be passionate about the craft, about this gig. Otherwise, we don't want you. If you're just bored and you're doing this because you have no choice and you need the money, you're not of value to us. We want somebody who's like super motivated and he's passionate about what he's doing. If you talk to me about economics, financials, tax, geopolitics, it excites me. I'm not going to work as a dentist because I don't give a fuck, bro, even if the money's double. So we want to see that passion, that fire. Now, again, my own perspective might be inaccurate, might be wrong, might be the remedies of a madman. And at this point, I want to pose the challenge to you. I just named a few skills. I'm sure there's more things I haven't thought of. Comment below, what are your top 3 skills for an employee that you think of? Comment below, I'm going to read it, I'm going to comment, I'm going to engage with you over there. But also, make sure you let me know in the comments if you want more of these videos, less of these videos, what the hell's going on with you, what are you up to? Let me know, because this is the way I keep track with you guys, what's going on. As always, stay safe, see you in the next video.